Good day, everyone. I'm back for another lecture. This is Research and Daily Life 2 class. In this lecture, I will be discussing to you analysis of data for quantitative design. Okay. Analysis of data in quantitative research is based on the research design proposed by the researcher. To determine the statistical tools to be used, it is important to consider the objective or objectives of the research and the data gathering instrument being used. So in analyzing the data, diba, in quantitative research, it all depends on the design proposed or used by the researcher. Diba? Nakadepende sa research design proposed by the researcher. So if the researcher want, um, conducted a correlational study. So, in analyzing the data, so we will be using correlational statistics. So, kung descriptive, diba, more on description, gamitin na to siya og descriptive statistics. Pag difference, ato determine the difference of the variables, diba, gamitin na to siya og difference statistics. Also, in determining the statistical tools to be used, it is important to consider the objective of the research, diba? As what I've mentioned kanina, if the objective of the research is to know the correlation of two variables, the statistical tools to be used will be correlational statistics. Now, if the objective of the research is to describe, diba, to describe the variable, so we'll be using descriptive statistics. Now, if the objective of the research is to differentiate the variables, we'll be using difference statistics. Also, aside from objective, we need also to consider data gathering instrument or the questionnaire, the survey questionnaire, in analyzing the statistical tools to be used. If the data gathering instrument is properly crafted, if the questionnaire is properly crafted or chosen based and accurately tested for validity and reliability, then it will be easy to identify the tools to analyze the data. Inana ka-importante sa questionnaire. Now, kung imong questionnaire checklist, imong survey questionnaire is well crafted, accurately tested for validity and reliability, then it is very easy for you. It will be very easy for you to identify the tools to analyze the data. In general class, quantitative research uses statistics in analyzing the gathered data. So si Quanti, gamit yun na siya og statistics in analyzing the gathered data. In addition, researchers use visualizations, graphs, and tables to present data and further interpret research results. Okay, there are three things when identifying the statistical tool to be used in your research. What is the objective of your research? Describe, relate, differentiate. Diba? What type of data is involved in your research? Nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio? How many groups are being compared or related? 1, 2, 3, or more. So those things, these three important things plays a vital role or really important in identifying the statistical tool to be used. Like for example, ato tani objective. Now, if your objective is to differentiate the variable, what will be your statistical tool? It will be difference statistics. Now, if your objective is to describe, you will be using descriptive statistics. Now, if your research objective is to relate, you'll be using correlational statistics. Diba? So, pag nominal data, na po yung mga specific tools to be used, ordinal, and many more, as well as the groups to consider. That is why, take note, in identifying your statistical tool, take note of your objective, take note of the type of data involved, and then how many groups are compared or related. We will discuss first descriptive statistics. Now, descriptive statistics is applicable if the aim of your research is simply to describe the phenomenon. Applicable si descriptive statistics if your aim or objective is to simply describe the phenomenon, particularly on the level, the frequency, the trends, diba? Pag gusto lang nimong bala ng frequency, level, you can use descriptive statistics. Now, what is the level of emotional intelligence among the senior high school students, diba? using descriptive statistics, you can now determine the level, diba? Through also the help of frequency count, diba? The statistical tool that you should use is descriptive statistics regardless of variable type and groups. Now, here are the different statistical tools under descriptive statistics and under the type of data. Now, if your objective is to describe, diba, you will be using descriptive statistics. And then your data is nominal for two categories, you will be using frequency table, proportion, percentage. Nominal for more than two categories, frequency table, proportion, or percentage mode. Now, we will now differentiate. If you remember, I already discussed to you before the type of data, di ba? Let's say nominal, let's say ordinal, let's say interval, or ratio. I hope such discussion of mine is still fresh, di ba, sa inyong una-una. Di ba? What is nominal data? When you say nominal data, it cannot be ranked and there is no interval or ratio. Diba? Example, nominal data is sex, diba? Male and female. Meaning, there is what we call certain distribution. Eye color, diba? Those are nominal data. Now, when say ordinal, it is order, diba? It has an order. It can be ranked, diba? It can be ranked. So, the statistical tools to be used will be rank order and then median. For interval, we'll be using arithmetic mean. For ratio, we'll be using mean. That is for descriptive statistics. Now, for correlation statistics, if the aim of your research is to know the relationship between the variables to explain a phenomenon, the statistical tool that you should use is correlation statistics. Now, si correlation statistics applicable siya if you wanted to know the relationship between variables, di ba, vice versa, di ba? Relationship ni A o ni B, relationship ni B ni A. That is correlation statistics. Also, there are some research nga relationships siya pero they are using chi-square because chi-square can also measure the relationship but not correlation, only the relationship. So, sa kalahian ni relationship o ni correlation. Si correlation is both sila naa sila yung relationship. Like, si A, nasa relationship ni B, si B, nasa relationship ni A. Vice versa. Now, the type of data is the biggest factor in this analysis, regardless of the number of groups. For correlation statistics, if the data is nominal, so we'll be using contingency coefficient and Phi and Kramer's V for nominal data. So if your data is nominal, you can use contingency coefficient, Phi and Kramer's V. For ordinal, if your data can be ranked, diba, there's order, we can use Spearman's rank and Kendall's tau. Now, if the type of data is interval, we can use person's product correlation or Pearson R, diba, for interval. Now, the presentation and analysis of findings derived from the use of the aforementioned statistical tools are commonly described to the strength of the relationship observed from the data. Now, the presentation of findings, analysis of findings derived from the use of aforementioned statistical tools and commonly described to the strength of the relationship observed from the data. Now, the table shows the strength of relationship based on the computed correlation coefficient. So sa correlation, naa tayo gitawag og strength, di ba? I-determine mo ang strength of relationship. Like, when can you say that it's very strong? Strong. This is for correlation coefficient. Now, if the data is positive and negative 0.70 or higher, that is very strong relationship. Positive and negative 0.40 to positive and negative 0.69, the relationship is strong. For the type of data is positive and negative 0.30 to positive and negative 0.39, the relationship is moderate relationship. So, dili ka mag-isip. Ikaw na ba o secretary? Congrats. Salamat, sir.
Sige.
Okay, back to our lecture. In correlation statistics, the presentation of the findings depends on the strength of relationship. Di ba natin gitawag og strength? When can you say that the relationship is high, the relationship is low, di ba? So we have here for correlation coefficient, di ba? If the type of data is positive and negative 0.30 to positive and negative 0.39, the relationship is moderate relationship. And then so on, weak relationship, and then for positive and negative 0.01 to positive and negative 0.19, no or negligible relationship. Last is difference tests. Difference tests. If the object of your research problem is to test hypothesis or find a significant difference between variables to explain a phenomenon, the statistical tool that you should use is difference statistics. Now, if the objective of your research is to know the difference, of your variable. Again, difference tests. If the objective of your research problem is to test the hypothesis or find a significant difference between variables to explain a phenomenon, the stat tool that you are going to use is difference statistics. So, kung imong objective kay to know the difference of the variable, imong gamiton dapat nga statistical tool is difference statistics. The type of data and the number of groups compared are the basis for determining appropriate tool for this kind of study. So, importante kayo si type of data and then the number of groups compared as basis in determining appropriate tool for this kind of study. So, there are different types of statistical tools to be used, but it all depends on what the type of data and the number of groups. So, for nominal data, number of groups not applicable, appropriate statistical tool is chi-square tests. Diba? Chi-square tests. And then for ordinal data, diba? Ordinal data and two number of groups, diba? At least two number of groups. Appropriate statistical tool is Wilcoxon and Mann and Whitney tests. For still ordinal data for three or more groups, you can use Kruskal-Wallis test. Now for interval with two groups, we can use independent sample t-test for interval. So, nagitawag t-test, independent sample t-test. For three or more groups, so dili na appropriate si t-test for three or more groups, we'll be using analysis of variance or ANOVA. So, ANOVA is commonly used by agriculture researchers because they wanted to know the variance of their variable and their study. Diba? Environmental sciences or mga natural sciences, they are more exposed with analysis of variance. So sa SOCSI, there are only two variables, diba? Two groups, so t-test, chi-square. Si chi-square po ginagamit po niya in determining relationship, pwede ra po siya basta dili correlation. Is that clear? That ends my lecture for this. I hope you have learned something. This is all about analysis of data. God bless us all. Good luck. Good luck. I hope you will study your lessons. Have a nice day ahead.